Alright, welcome to my channel. This is Jason, also known as Omnus Prime. Today we're going to be taking a look at Terminus Giganticus from Fans Toys. It's FT-20A and FT-20B. So for this video, I'm going to be talking about the two different parts that comprise of making basically a masterpiece scaled Omega Supreme. And when this initially started out, it had a couple different names that they were going with, but ultimately when it was released, it was Terminus Giganticus. So you had to pre-order two different sets to go ahead and build a big robot. Fortunately, some people ended up only getting part A, and some people ended up only getting part B because they didn't get the pre-orders in on time. Eventually, they did start releasing these as a complete set that you could get together. That happened further down the line. And for my set, I did want to let you know that I do have Toy Hacks decals that are placed on these. And there's just a decision I went with because I wanted some additional detail that wasn't on there. That was closer to what I remember when I had my Generation 1 Omega Supreme. So I kind of like those decals added on there for the added details. But before we go ahead and get any further in that, I'm going to go ahead and show you what comes in box A, and then I'll show you what comes in box B. So box A comprised of this piece here, the tank, an alternate plate here for the torso that you can swap out. This one's translucent, whereas the other one is solid red. You get this crotch piece that you can place on there if you wish, and a clear visor to go in place of the more yellow tinted visor. I like the tinted visor. It feels like it's more in keeping with the character. The other thing that you got were these parts of the tracks, or the wings in robot mode. And of course you get the instruction manual and collector's card. And it shows you how to go ahead and swap out the parts and what have you that it comes with. So that's what you get in part A. Part B has the more interesting parts in a way, because you get the other vehicle, you get the rocket, and you get the legs that form the rest of the tracks. And that's all that you get in part B. Now for this video, it's not going to be a transformation video. What I'm going to be doing with my reviews is I'm going to go ahead and go over the different things that it comes with, what I like, what I don't like about the figure, and kind of give you like my thoughts overall for it. I'm going to do a separate video that will be for transformations only going forward. This will make it easier for those that are looking for transformations to be able to just get that, and those who just want to get a review of the different, well, in this case for Transformers, they'll be able to get it that way. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get this together, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at it. Okay, so starting with the base mode as part of this review, I do want to say that this is a very, very large set. As you can see, it takes up most of my review space. Well, it takes up more than my review space can handle. And for size comparisons, let's go ahead and get those out of the way. Here's Fans Toys Hannibal. So the head of Fortress Maximus. And as you can see, despite him being a big bot, Terminus Giganticus is just that much bigger. and he scales just within there. The other thing that I have here, just for old time's sake, we have MP10. You can see how that scales there. Now, if you wanted to do something a little different here to change it up, bring in the legend scales. So I think that's more fitting. We have, I believe this one's called David, but effectively is legend scale Optimus Prime here. Even though this is Masterpiece scale and it scales with Masterpiece, I think they look better with these. I mean, just looking at the small size, you can get a bunch of them on here and really fill out and make it feel like it's a base. There's a lot of details that are on this bot. You can see a lot of it is painted. These decals are, again, they're from Toy Hacks, so they're going to stand out a bit differently here as you see the different details that are added because of the Toy Hacks. But I like the added detail because of that. But some of this is actually tampograph that came with Terminus Giganticus. Those weren't like stickers. Like these are already painted on here. This is here. There's great sculpt detail that's throughout. It's pretty much what, at least for me, what I experienced as a kid. The size of it in my hand, you know, when I was like 8. This was really cool to me when I was a kid, and it's fantastic to have something like this again available to me. Turret spins. There are light up effects on here, but I don't have any of the batteries in. The light up features are more for like the rocket for the top and bottom, and also for his head when he has his face shown, where you can light up the eyes. But I think if you were to pick this up, I would have a bunch of these legend scales transformers to put up with it. I think you can have some really cool setups done that way. There is a door here that will open up, and you can slide that out just like so. And that makes just for another cool display feature. And in the product shots for this, they originally had like Bumblebee standing over there, and they also had, I believe, Spike. So as you can see, that's how Spike scales here with Omega, or the Terminus Giganticus. So even if you're just going to go with Masterpiece scale, it still works really well. Alright, so next we're going to go ahead and take a look at them in bot mode. So let's go ahead and take a look at the details here on him. You can see that I'm going to go ahead and open the visor. The eyes are beautifully painted, and they do light up, so if I had batteries in here I could turn them on and they glow a bright blue, but you don't need it to take advantage of the well done paint job that they've done here. You'll notice that these are Toy Hacks labels that are on here. This is my particular taste. You may not care for them, and that's fine. I completely understand if that's not the look that you want to have, but there is paint that is on here to add some additional details, as well as throughout. You have this gunmetal gray that's painted, and you have a lot of die-cast metal that's in him, especially in the joints. The feet are not made of metal, they're plastic, but they support them well enough. And a lot of the details that I'm showing you here, you saw when I was showing you the alt mode for the base. But you can see that it all comes together here in robot mode. And For me, this piece is actually one of my holy grails for Transformers, was to get a Masterpiece Omega Supreme. He's one of my favorite characters, all of Transformers. I loved the toy when I was a kid, and he seemed more like a tragic character, especially if you look at the episode The Secret of Omega Supreme, finding out about his origins and how like bent on getting revenge he is for what happened to him when he was betrayed by the Constructicons back on Cybertron. You know, he has one of the, I would say, deeper character explorations that they ever did in the original Transformer series. Let's go ahead and do a size comparison here. Now we have him as the master, and here he is with the Titan class. Just so you can see the sheer difference between the scale. And I love this one too. This one is a great one. It's definitely a lot lighter, easier to mess around with, easier to display because he doesn't take up as much shelf space. But proportions wise, this guy's got it in spades. There's a lot of painted details, a lot more tune accurate. This has a lot of sculpted detail, not as much paint. I really wish his face was painted on the inside here. I mean, his eyes are painted, but we're not really exploring him so much as we are with him. This is just so you can see what the difference is between if you were to get a Titan scale Omega Supreme versus getting a Masterpiece scale one. Speaking of Masterpiece scaled, we have Hannibal again. As you can see how much that Terminus Giganticus actually scales here. And to me, this is truly like a one-of-a-kind type of figure. And I understand that DX9 made Gabriel. I almost went in on it because of the challenges with pricing that was there. The competition made this guy a lot more affordable for me because at the time when this was released originally, I think we were looking at about a $500 piece to go ahead and get him. Then Gabriel came out and they were like, we're going to do it for like $300. There was like a price drop on this guy, which really helped me out quite a bit. And in case you were wondering about the accessories I had mentioned before, so this can be swapped out. So if you wanted to have it more the translucent coloring throughout, you can have that in place. This is purely for the bot mode display. You can place this here. Well, I can't, but maybe you can. But this would go here. Well, effectively to make that all red. I don't think it's necessary. I don't know if it was like some animation where they had that, or the toy was actually more like this, where it's just flat, boxy. So that wasn't really a toy thing. Looking at him, you can see he doesn't have red on his crotch either. But it's an option if you're going to be getting these big bots like this. There you go. Because seems to be the scale that everybody thinks that combiners and Titan class figures should be in relation to their figures. I don't really want them getting bigger than this guy. Even though I got Hannibal here. As you can see, this is Masterpiece, this is Legend scale. And you can see the difference in height. And these characters are supposed to be like the same height, but this is going to be the head for a Masterpiece scaled Fortress Maximus. This guy turns into a head, right? And you can see how he already scales with the Masterpiece scaled Omega Supreme. So by the time we get to Fortress Maximus, space for these guys are going to be kind of a weird thing to deal with. However, even when getting him, this guy is going to be out of scale possibly with the rest of them, as far as like if we're talking about an Optimus Prime. So like when he goes into base mode or spaceship mode, probably going to want to have him scaled with this instead. It'll make it look that much bigger. And this is a third-party Legend scale. And as you can see, it looks pretty good. It's fully painted. This is from New Age. This is David. And it looks amazing. It's well articulated. I may do a separate review for him if anybody's interested in that. But you can see here with the Masterpiece Spike, he still fits in scale with Omega here. Of course, he's not going to scale all that well here with Optimus Prime here being this small, because he's meant to scale with like MP10. And just for one last thing to go ahead and compare it to, is Fortress Maximus's head. Look how big that head is compared to Terminus Maximus's or Terminus Giganticus's head. That is a huge melon. And you can already see this doesn't scale with each other as far as being like in the same class. This thing is gonna be so huge. And I've already shown you how big this guy is. And this is one of my Holy Grail figures that I've ever gotten. The other Holy Grail figure that I got is Unicron, and that's not Masterpiece scaled. It's almost what they would call a Titan class. I think it kind of stands on its own. And that one, I believe, is bigger than this one. Just a little bit. It's definitely wider. I thought this was going to be as big as it gets. But we got this guy coming. And kind of excited about it, but I don't really know where I'm going to put anything like that. But as far as this one goes, there's only one last thing I wanted to kind of bring about is how clean that this guy is. All of the stuff that he comes with, it's able to compact in, and you don't have a bunch of other things hanging off him. He looks really close to tune from head to toe. So I don't know if this could actually be done any better than what we have here. But the problem with a character like this, for me, is if they do another one, somebody else, and it looks just as good or able to move around better, you know, just for a little bit more dynamic posing, because for the most part for him, he just stands there. There's not really much else I can do with him. The joints are really tight, so more of a bot that just has a lot of presence than a lot of other bots in my collection that people look at and they just want to take a look and take it all in. But I like that about him. I don't know how anybody would get a hold of this other than getting it on the secondary market from, say, someone that's reselling it. And I don't know what the going cost of this guy is currently. If you're able to, I definitely recommend getting it, because I don't know if anybody else is going to go ahead and make anything that's like this again. The only other thing I can think of is if there's an official one being made, but I don't think it'll be this size. And that's pretty much all I got to say about Terminus Giganticus. It's one of my most loved figures that's in my collection. And I hope that you find whatever your Holy Grail is. And if you're new to my channel, please give it a subscribe. I'm trying to get to at least 1,000 by the end of the year for subscribers. If you have any comments or questions about this guy, go ahead and leave them down below. Again, go ahead and check out my transformation video, which will be separate from this review of Terminus Giganticus. So if all you're interested in is figuring out how to transform him and what that entails, go ahead and check that out. Otherwise, I appreciate you taking the time to take a look at this review, and I'll check you next time. See ya.